unfortunately, the rest of the army, I mean, they might not engage, but it says they're defending. Sometimes they'll just come and hover over it and see. No, they're defending. So this is amazing. We were lucky just to gather this army in time to participate. We're just out gathering grain. How funny. And this is the king and some other noble. Let's go ahead and start an episode here. Welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment's YouTube channel. Our channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. In this episode, we are going to start this episode off with a battle. We are going to do some time lapse in this campaign. We're going to do more enrichment to the story, but this is going to enrich the story as well. The Western Empire and the Aserai continue to attack our southern fiefs. And frankly, I was gathering food and resources when I saw two different locations under siege. Figured there might be a battle for us to participate, and indeed. And we've got this kind of wonky, odd army with pikemen and you know, it's I haven't really been fine-tuning it, but how can you pass this up, right? This looks like 2,000 plus against 2,000 plus. I mean, yes, please, right? And hopefully it's worthwhile to show you guys. Of course, if you are watching it, you know it'll be worthwhile. This is going to be fun. Wow, that's amazing. Our numbers are almost identical, and that is an epic battle, right? 2,700. Again, thank you, StrengthenAI mod. Thank you, the other mods. And oh, fuck. Look at the strength of these armies. Let's take a closer look here before we step into it. Almost 600 cavalry. This guy has 176 elite cataphract, 88 elite Manabliaton, and 108 elite legionary. Well, at least fortunately the king has a bunch of banner knights, so this is going to be battle royale, right? This is going to be as big as the battle by Abcomer Castle. And perfect, right? Let's do this shit. Oh, shit, here we go again. Dump us right in. Let's see, we go 4th, 5th, and 6th again for archers. I've been kind of craving a battle where we start from the beginning, so I might try to find a battle, maybe for this episode, in fact, where we can talk about captains, we can talk about formations, separation of pikes, from sergeants, from Volgiers, from billmen, stuff like that. But I'm not allowed to do it here. Oh shit, the enemy's on us. They're 160 units away. Let's get up on this hill here and just try to catch our breath here. Never mind all the other shit I said. We're fighting for our life here. I think I'll be able to retreat if this is going badly, but you know, if we're role-playing, that looks really bad to the king, right? You just bail if it gets ugly, and we're getting plowed into by hundreds of elite cataphract. What the we got going on here? Of course, Battlesize mod engaged, right? So there's going to be an unbelievable amount of forces on the battlefield here. Strap yourself in, fellas. We got ourselves an epic battle. Now, I'm really going to have to sort of gather my wits here. I haven't been fighting for the last couple days. I've been doing some of the other challenge videos that I make for the channel. So it's been a little while since I've fought a spearman on a horse, and it's been a little while since I've done some Vlandian tactics. But it's like riding a bike. And hopefully we can start pedaling fast here, because there's a lot of work to do here. There's just cataphract as far as the eye can see, and they have tough infantry too. So this is going to be a really gnarly battle. At least we've got a little bit of a ridge here to hold for the time being, right? I'm going to keep these divisions. The 1st, 3rd, and 7th will be infantry divisions. What I've been doing a lot, and I'll show you up close in a more controlled, explainable battle than this chaos. But the 3rd has been shock troops, and the 7th has been pikemen, hired pikes and Vlandian pikemen. We've been using them to great effect. Of course, we did a lot of that with the intro episodes that are available on Patreon, but I got to get at least a few episodes here just to show the extraordinary usability of these unique Vlandian infantry. But obviously I can't focus on... Now you see the pikemen here. The pikemen are mixed with Volgiers because I didn't have any choice. I can't separate them mid-battle. At least we can separate units, right? We're just trying to hold back the storm here. I feel like I'm just holding the lines while our ally is just getting melted. Of course, they charge forward. They actually have Fiend Champs in here. Our ally does, for some reason. Now, our army's a mix. I just gathered nobles that were nearby. I wasn't discriminating about who we could get. Because there was this, and one of the location, a city fell. A city to the south, Jakulan or whatever, fell to the Western Empire. I'm uncomfortable with this. Our guys are roaring over the ridge here, but we're getting blown off the lines here. If this was a football game, an NFL football game, you would say we're losing the offensive line war here. They are shoving us back. combination of, yeah, look at this infantry coming in. That's why it's just a stacked line, a doom stack is, you know, what Joel Hall and others would say. A fellow who runs the Discord channel for me, he first started using that term, and of course other people use it as well, but basically where the StrengthenAI makes just a juggernaut enemy army, and you get the fun task of cleaning it up on the battlefield. And maybe not so fun. Just continually move our lines back here. We've got a little bit of a ridge to have a peekaboo ridge. There's a rock to anchor over there. Of course, this is the only way you can really sort of gather your wits, is to take advantage of the slow-mo while you're ordering your troops here. It's not very fair. They just chuck you into battle. Even if you're joining a battle in progress, it's not like you get, you know, Star Wars teleported right to the middle of it. You should be able to approach from the side, but it is what it is, right? It'd be nice if the battle was kind of ongoing and you could charge from the side, but we will take what we can get here. Trying to protect our back lines here. We have a very mixed army, right? You can actually see it's a lot of infantry, a lot of archers, and a lot of cavalry. Basically, it's probably a third of each. Now, God, the death map looks real bad. And they have a huge amount of infantry, and now they have archers moving up. They have 230 archers? They got fucking fiend champs. Well, that's because the Western Empire has a couple of the Battanian cities. I will slip little details about how the campaign is going. The Western Empire has been a beast in this campaign. Ironically, Garrios died during one of their crusades into Battanian territory. He died in battle, and this new guy is ultra aggressive. This guy must be an imperialist because he is just full steam ahead. And we're going to try to use this rock to anchor. There's a rock right in between these two different battlefields. There's a little bit of a peekaboo edge on both sides, peekaboo ridge. The difference here is that there's an edge. The enemy has to literally come around that corner, peekaboo, and we got 50 archers set up. Now, I see a few fiend champs in our army too, but there's nothing I can do about that. Like I said, I gathered these armies 30 seconds ago, right? Or you know what I mean, 30 seconds before the battle started. They were the only ones that were close. You can't, there goes, our companions are eating shit. You can't be choosy when there's a battle about to happen like this. So let's guard that top ridge with the square. We've got three archer divisions that we can set up down here, but I don't have a lot of other tactical options here. Our AI is immolating itself as usual, charging just these juggernaut units, and all of their units are juggernauts. Just the legionary Vlandian or Manabliaton. And we do not have our stacked army. At some point in this campaign, we will have a stacked army, and that may not matter, right? Our enemies are going to be incredibly ferocious in this campaign. So we got 3 divisions. We can kind of run cavalry through them as well. This is holding. This ridge for now is holding, right? All that infantry is pouring over, though. Squares are only so good against legionary. In fact, we may have to do a combined attack. Look at all these guys streaming up. It's like our ally ran over the ridge, vanished, a la, you know, Frodo Baggins. And now, you know, we're suddenly left with the mess to clean up. So we can get a little bit of a flanking angle with archers here. I'd love to get our archers in the water, but, you know, you can't run 30 seconds to get over there and get cut down the whole time. All right, let's move the square away from the archers. We're going to have to charge these divisions. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. We can get cavalry also to charge all that infantry pouring over the ridge. I'm getting nervous and sweaty, right? You know, I just fucking love EPIC Bannerlord battles, and this is a great one, right? It's fucking gnarly. There's Armageddon units here. Let's see if this combined attack can destroy this vanguard of forces. We're certainly putting a beating on them. In fact, we just melted that force. Little combined attack there. I learned that kind of tactic, frankly, forever ago in a game called Dark Age of Camelot. And the basic principle is if an enemy's over-aggressive like that, see if I can explain it here. We got cav pushing in. I got to get a cav line over here. Our spearmen are set up, though, right? You could start to see spears set up, and they're almost always going to be mixed or just in front of our crossbow, but there's more infantry coming. I'm going to do a little spear work here and see if I can explain it in 30 seconds. The principle is kind of simple. If the enemy overextends is where they're separate from the rest of their force. In that case, their infantry was completely separate from their archers. They came over the ridge, super aggressive, super cocky, and of course the AI is famous for that. And so we concentrated forces, right? 2 different divisions of archers charged. The square, I turned that around from defense to offense and had them charge, and then we got a cavalry division in there as well, and they just melted, right? You get surrounded as infantry. It's kind of the same concept as a kill box. In Dark Age of Camelot, what groups would do, groups of teams of players, it was all PvE, or excuse me, PvP. Shit, they're just fucking pouring through here. Is you would essentially let the enemy's aggression kill him, right? You would let them get deep into your ranks, and then you would focus on individuals with teamwork, with communication. You'd attack 3 or 4 people at once, kind of like we did with our dodgeball team, where we just fucking blew the league apart. Multi-targeting, we would run fakes, and then everybody throws 4 balls at one guy, and it doesn't matter if people have bad aim, the guy gets hit, right? He's smoked. Same kind of concept. And I don't like at all what's going on here. Why do we have such poor units here? I don't know why the Allied forces have such ghetto forces. The enemy has legionary and we have footmen and other ghastly units. Now, fortunately, we're through a lot of their heavy cavalry. That's some bit of good news. But this is starting to look like a loss. The power bar definitely... there's just a huge flush of red. All right, we've got 2 different ridges here we can use. This is a bit of a peekaboo ridge. It's a bit of a short ridge, but I think we can use it with some infantry. If we can get flanking infantry, those guys will be uphill and be able to come quickly down on the enemy to pinch them. And of course, single infantry coming over that ridge are going to be smoked. It'll be very helpful at preventing these archers from killing us. Now, the AI is just waiting up here. I mean the AI, the Allied AI is just waiting up here, coming over the ridge and getting destroyed. That's why the screen looks like that. But we can keep our infantry blocked on the other side. These are all our Allied forces. Just, the AI is kind of like the Roomba. It just bounces off a wall and does something else, and something random. Most of the time, though, it just charges like a bull. 1, 2, 3. We can get a little bit of archer separation here. At this stage of the battle, I want angles on the enemy archers that are coming over this ridge. That way they can't get angles on us, right? If we have the first angle to their left, they can't come over that ridge and start to flank us. They get smoked, right? We've already got archers preventing their assault. Let's move that square over here. That second and third. Okay, we're getting more reinforcements in. I've got very few cavalry, not many infantry to work with. And who knows what the Allies are going to do. I mean, we'll take every soldier at this stage. This looks like, if we're going to win, it's going to be a close one. I'm going to have to do a lot of spear work here. Now, it's starting to come back, right? Riding a bike. I've been playing Baron York most of the time, the last 3 or 4 weeks. But, of course, I've also been doing some of our other series for the channel. And one day you're playing an archer for the Archer Skirmisher series, and the next day you're stabbing guys in the face with your spear. It definitely takes a little bit of time to get going. But now we're going. Look at how many elite archers the enemy has. Fuck, that's a problem. We might be fucked here. Our infantry is coming up. They're going to cut off guys there at the ridge. A lot of their archers can't shoot. The Allied AI just looks like they have a whole bunch of homeless guys charging. It literally looks like a tent encampment. Somebody came in and took all their food. Before anybody gets too upset, I'm highly sensitive to homeless people. A lot of them are there for reasons outside of their own. I won't get political. But that's what this looks like. The AI is just pouring up here like very hungry homeless people, like a zerg of... this is carnage. This is going to be epic. Epic to watch. And that's what we do, right? This is perfect. This early campaign is going to work a little bit like the ESPN highlights. You're not going to see ordinary battles because I'll simply not share them with you fellas, right? You're going to see a battle. Well, I think it was 6 months or a year from the last time we made an episode. And honestly, I hadn't intended on making this one. This is just fortuitous chance. And it might be fortuitous loss. We will share losses on the channel as long as they're interesting, right? As long as we don't get blown out here at the end and the enemy has 900 troops, which is, it's starting to look that way with all these archers, then we'll still share it. I need reinforcements bad. We just got some infantry. That's going to help. I'll be able to split infantry. We'll be able to do what I was talking about earlier. We'll be able to get infantry coming down down that hill on the enemy's right, but we're going to have to do it fast, right? I need these units to get up here quick. We're just barely holding this line. This infantry division up here, this is going to work, right? And there's some high-level units in there. I wonder if we have a different unit prioritization than normal. I don't always pay close attention to it, and sometimes I modify it to make a cutscene. So we're playing with, you know, a little bit of irregularity in this battle. But they're boring in, and they're eating everybody up to the line. And fortunately, we're holding this ridge beautifully, right? These sharpshooters and being champs the enemy has can't really bore into us. That 7th division's going to get annihilated, but they're doing their job, right? They're taking people with them. The active shooter or Bannerlord, right? They're going to kill as many people as they can before they get killed. And I'm just going to spear people at the margins of the battle here. I'm going to try not to get off my horse, get back on. Fortunately, it's peasants. Calling me a bastard. I'm going to stab your friend for that shit. I've got a small line of cavalry here. We got a shield and shock now. They can charge. The 7th can charge. Let's get another archer division split out on the far enemy right over there. Those guys will be basically spraying the side of the enemy as they come over, and we've got a giant slugfest here at the end. Got to get these archers backed up. We're going to have to do some kiting here. Look at the power bar. It's just these 2 little tiny blips of color. Come on, boys. Spread out. That infantry at the line there is going to get killed. Yeah. That was a risk I was willing to take. God, they still have nobles left, and they have like the vanguard. That's like their commander. We're coming for his ass. If you can kill their commander, sometimes it lowers their morale. You'll get some routers. Definitely going to try to take that guy out. But we've got to survive first. We've got to get kited here. They're boring in on our units. Come on, boys. Fucking hands are shaking. Oh, nice shot. Fucking smoked that guy in the face. There's the Lord. Kill that. All right, let's just pull these guys across. They'll have some losses. I'm going to act as the crash test. I mean, look at my health. That's incredible, considering the forces that are on the battlefield. This is normal player, the Bannerlord difficulty. I have like a full health bar. A Baron York too. It's just been out of the danger level somehow. Highway out of the danger zone. So we're just pulling one archer division away from the enemy, kiting. The other division is behind him, spraying the enemy in the back. And you're just hoping these archers kind of hold the line here. Come on, for, you know, another 30 seconds, although we got to move the other division back now. Now they're out of line of sight. Let's get them off to the enemy's flank here. Get over here. Come on, we got like 60 troops left. I hope the enemy doesn't have a lot more units, because we're almost out here. Yeah, we have had an unbelievable amount of close battles in this campaign. There's the Lord. Kill that fucking Lord. This is fucking amazing. Die. Killed your guard, dude. Killed Torvasis. Fucking archers. Fuck, they got Fiend champs in here too. They have a lot of archers. We've got the ridge though. They've got to come right over that ridge, and I can play reckless. I've got a half a health bar. Let's just get in here and just go crazy on them. Yeah, shoot me, boys. Don't shoot our troops. Knock over the Fiend champ. Now let's charge with that second. In you go, boys. Fuck. They're charging like 40 archers, 50 archers. Razor close. Don't rout, boy. This is where you just can't have your troops rout. I'm just gonna cut these guys down. God, it's close. Eat it. Fiend champ on your back. Somebody's routing. I think that's their troops. We got this shit. Yes. Man, it is recording. I look down, there's a little green light. This is gonna sound stupid, because it's a video game. This shit doesn't matter at all. We're gonna do a time warp here. It just doesn't matter at all. But I've got, not a tear, I'm not a bitch, but I've got the little tiniest glassy eye. And what I mean by that is I almost got a little bit emotional at the end of that battle. That was fucking intense. Way whip the bastard. That's my favorite. Oh shit, they still got troops left. That's my favorite little victory. Way whip the bastard. That's great, man. And so was that battle, man. That was epic. I mean, it's over. They've got a few troops left here though, but that was as tight as it gets, right? They got some guys. These guys must be bugged or stuck or suicidal after their forces got carved apart. That is going to be a joy to share with you fellas. In the Aserai campaign, we had the greatest battle I've ever been a part of. It was an unbelievable. It was better than this. No offense to this battle. This is a great battle, but it was like a 40-minute rolling affair where my character had a camel, then he had a horse, and the horse got killed. Then it was just this never-ending 40-minute battle versus the Khazate. Well, this is in the ballpark at least, right? That was. I don't think I'll call it better than that. And it was similarly close, but this was down to the wire in a huge, epic, bloody, savage battle. Body parts and maimed people. And there's one archer over here. We won! You know, when there's 900 archers and they're like, we won, it's just not authentic. But when you have 24 guys left at the end of a battle like that, I mean, it just feels authentic, right? You'd be totally euphoric with the feeling of victory in a battle like that. And of course, all of these nobles, Baron York is making an impression, to say the least, right? All of a sudden, these guys are like, oh yeah, all right, he's a noble. Now, we're not going to use these units, but what I've been doing, especially in situations like this, we could actually get captured here and all the mirth would go away. I don't know if you saw it, but there were other Western Empire forces right outside the city here, or right outside the castle. So we will take these forces temporarily. Again, I'm committed to using Vlandian only, plus mercenary and militia and a handful of other. We're not going to be using Battanians and stuff like that, except with rare exception. Now, got going on here. One of our forces kind of pinched and trapped over there. Let's see, we might have to help him. He's going to get killed probably. I don't think the other armies are going to help us. We can't fight that. Do we have any? They're probably going to go in the castle. I think what we'll do here is just hide in the castle, right? And that's what the nobles do after a battle like that, right? You lick your wounds, right? We're battered. We're beat up. Where'd all my grain go? Oh, you know what? I dropped some grain on the way here to speed up to get to the battle. Damn, I had like 3,000 or 4,000 grain. That was the purpose, ironically, of all of this, right? That whole battle started with, I was just looking for some gluten, right? Some wheat. We're on a carb detail. I'm trying to gain 20,000 grain, give or take, to do the fast forward process. I'm sure some guys are like, well, just use a mod, whatever. I like the authenticity of it, and I've been just kind of doing a few other things, odds and ends that I wanted to do a few quests. I've only spent a couple hours doing it, but I was just trying to gather up some grain and fruit and shit like that, so our hero Baron York, could enjoy his 12 mistresses and big meals, which is what all the nobility did back then. And thank goodness I did, right? This is why you don't use a mod to get extra grain, right? You wouldn't have happened on that epic battle. I mean, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to share this with you fellas. And that is just like, that's the sales pitch for this campaign, right? You can expect more of that. Pumping up again the Patreon channel. We had battles similar to that. They weren't as big, of course, but we had some unbelievable battles in the early stage of this campaign. It's been an incredible sequence, and of course, I edit all the ones that you don't really want to see. So I don't think we'll do too much more here. I'm going to gather up some food. We're going to head north. I've got to get to the fast forward stage, of course, because we're trying to advance this campaign. The whole purpose of this is to mature some children, let these enemy nobles mature a little bit, although based on that last battle, they don't need any help. And we will check it out. We'll get a little autosave here first, and see who's fucking invading our homeland here. Our forces are going to take back the cities to the south. And I wonder if we've got, well, I mean, that's doable. You know what? I was asking for this. This is actually fine. We disbanded a few armies here, but this is actually just right. This is like almost what the doctor ordered. A cavalry heavy army. It's a little big, and that's a very strong army. They've got 200 heavy cavalry. We've got this odd duckling army. We're starting to get healed up a little bit, although we've got some recruits now, of course, because I've been recruiting troops on the way back. We'll wait for daylight here, but I think we'll give this a shot. This force is cavalry heavy, so they should be perfect, right, to show you pike and shot tactics in this Vlandian campaign. Just tactics I've been developing. It's not like they're new, just how I use them when I play as Vlandia. We'll be able to start this battle from the get-go, so I'll be able to show you up close what things look like. Now, we're outnumbered and outgunned. The power bar says we have no chance, but, you know, tactics, that doesn't mean shit. So again, it's an ugly duckling army. I mean, we've got some sharpshooters, we've got some sergeants, we've got some pikemen. We don't have very many high-end cavalry, but we'll do the best we can. They have Vlandian pikemen. They have 48 Vlandian pike. Oh, that was our army. Oh shit. So they have a tough army. 51 legionary, 58 elite cataphract. But this is doable, and because they're sieging, we can bail. So if things are just going ugly, we'll just get out of dodge. So I'm just going to go ahead and narrate this like we will attach this. And there's kind of some shadows here, but I think we can make this work. I was hoping for an open field battle. Usually around Vlandia, there's a lot of open fields, so you can see a little better. They're not giving us many breaks here. It's like, for some reason, there's like a cloud over the sun or something. Hopefully, I'll be able to show you guys up close. All right, so three different things I want to show you really here. We're going to have very specified infantry divisions and tiered structures of crossbow. I probably have showed you this before, but at this stage I'm not sure what material is going to make it in, so I'm just going to spend a couple minutes and do this again. What we're essentially doing here is trying to separate the different Vlandian infantry. They're quite unique for all the different kingdoms, and you have to know what they have as far as equipment in order to separate. Now, we have mostly sergeants in that first division, which is obviously optimal. About a third of our infantry will be in a square playing defense until the time is right for them to attack. The 3rd and 7th, and I mentioned this in the last battle, those Volgiers, and the 7th is pikemen. Now you get that, ironically, by saying throwing weapons, right? Now you can also say high level in throwing weapons because the Volgiers tier 5, but then it might exclude some billmen. You got to kind of think outside the box to make this system work for you. In fact, by bumping it up there, yeah, see, that pulls some shock troops out. So let's just do shields for that first division. Of course, there won't be any Volgiers up there when there's shields, right? Not unless you have not enough people with shields. Now, the 3rd, I want it to be an attack dog division. And if you were, you know what, actually all of those guys, because we have some Battanian units, this other army that's with us, she was just kind of hot, so I brought her along. I actually did that for safety so we didn't get ambushed. But we'll use some Battanian veteran Falksmen, and look at all these pikes. We must have 50 pikes in the army, and so we're going to do pike and shot. Now, a lot of times people do pike and shot, and they mix them up together. I tend to put them towards the front, and I tend to put them in spread like this. Guys ask all the time, what's it take to make them use their pike? I think they will use it in line formation, but my best experience is spread, right? That means each one of them has plenty of room to stick out his foot and brace, and that's what I'm referring to, right? Bracing that spear, they point it, and it stands up cavalrymen, right? It works really well with sharpshooters behind them and or Volgiers nearby to mangle the stood-up cavalrymen. A lot of times they will one-shot cavalry riders if, of course, they hit the rider. Now, you want these guys close, but, you know, not quite overlapping. Of course, if there's a pikeman directly in front of your crossbow, obviously the guy won't shoot, right? So you need to have a little bit of dexterity there. You want to get down. I say this all the time. You want to get down to your units and make sure that, you know, on the ground level, it looks good, right? And in a battle like this battle's not that important. But since I'm demonstrating for you fellas, we're going to take this extra 30 seconds. Now, shield and shock, this is a strategy I developed on my own, and it just works in Bannerlord. The best defense against cavalry is a line of heavy cavalry in a shield wall with Volgiers, shock troops right in their midst, right? You can tell them to charge, and cavalrymen get obliterated by that combination. They get stood up, and then the Volgiers are very happy to annihilate heavy horse stuck there. Now, Baron York is going to captain the 2nd division. We will put our elite cavalry in there, and you get that by having that little upper chevron. That way he can have them attack. Now, we're going to hold fire here, right? Crossbow have long range. And guys, some guys are like, yeah, they have the best range. It's kind of a not very useful perk. You do so little damage at long range that, and they run out of ammo because they only have one, what is it, a bag of bolts or whatever it's called, right? They got a bag of wrenches and bolts. What the fuck are they doing? I was sure they were going to charge because they have so many cavalry. Man, these guys are fucking up my plan. They're doing a circle. They're like entrenched with a circle defense at the top of this hill. And it's hard to access, hard to get up there. Normally you would just surround them and shoot. You know what? This has been a very long time since I've pulled off this tactic. We're going to do this. This is a very complicated tactic. It requires a little bit of forethought of what you're going to do later. Oh shit, we get cornered here. Try not to get killed. Just doing a little bit of reconnaissance. What's the most important thing in battle, right? Of course, is information, right? Sun Tzu would say the art of war is deception. Well, I also think the art of war is knowing more than your enemy, right? If you know conditions better than your enemy, then you can win. So here's a couple things we know about the AI and about the enemy situation. They're in a really good defensive spot because I can't shoot them easily. The only way I can shoot them is over here where they have cavalry and stuff like that. But we can move our units, put them in a essentially a trap right on the other side of that, come up there with screens, cavalry walls, screen walls, shoot the shit out of them, and inevitably the AI will break once they're being obliterated, right? We will menace them with cavalry, but we're not going to charge. And I'll show you all this up close. This is going to be cool, actually. I was hoping to show you guys, you know, the immense value of pikes, and we're still going to use them because here's the other component of it. Essentially, the way to think of it is this: is the AI is trying something and it starts to fail, you know, as per the death spam, right? Whatever it's doing, playing defensively, trying to attack, and it's getting mauled, it will change tactics, right? It'll move some troops over here, it'll fall back, it'll do stuff like that, right? If it's getting shot to pieces across a river, the guys will turn around. So in this case, because we know that, we're going to take advantage of that. What we're going to do is set up a savage trap. Now this is temporary. I'm just screening our troops here as we move around. Although their cavalry's kind of playing defensive too. Ordinarily, you know, if cavalry was playing aggressively, you would have to do this, but they're playing quite passive. I don't know if it's because they don't have jab cav or what, but we'll speed this up a little bit here. I wanted to explain all that. In fact, I probably won't edit any of that. This is complex tactics, but it's a great tactic, right? This will be of great service to you guys in rare circumstances. I've probably done this 10 times in all of my battles in Bannerlord. It's a unique situation. The enemy's entrenched at like the top of a bowl-shaped hill, right? So we're gonna de-entrench their asses, right? We're gonna fucking crowbar their asses out of them. Now they've got 200 archers too, so we're gonna have to account for that. But what we're going to do is screen archers, crossbow, to the top of that hill, get them a priority premium placement, right? We're gonna position them so they can fire over the ring into the packed enemy ranks. We are going to screen them with cavalry on the way up there, right? Once they're in place, I will then drag that cavalry around to sort of menace the enemy so that it's distracting them and absorbing arrows and stuff like that while our crossbow work. This is our spot. Look at this. It's not very high, but it's just high enough just to rain in bolts in there. And again, timing is delicate here, and we're going to position our units down here at the bottom in a manner so that as the enemy changes their tactics, they're very likely to charge. They're charging the lion's den, right? We're still going to use these pikemen, right? We're going to pair these guys. Let's see. I'm going to pull the 5th and the 4th up there because at least they have shields. If things are going ugly, they can square and bail out of there. A huge advantage of the Vlandians, of course, is their archers can be defensive at a moment's notice. So and of course we're still holding fire. We'll open fire right before we enact this tactic. So down here, setting up a trap. Now a human would be freaking out. They'd be like, I don't know what the fuck's going on around here, but I don't like it. It stinks to high hell of a fucking ambush trap. But the AI is not so smart. So enjoy these years before generative AI. All right, so shield and shock over there, cavalry and shock troops. The weak crossbow division, let's give them this batch of pikes, right? They can spread all over the place. We're going to charge up to the top with the 2nd division and these 2 crossbow divisions. I want this cav division here, the stronger of the 2, back in case we have to make a sally attempt to push the enemy back. And the last thing, of course, the last thing we're going to do is use a distractionary square, drag that in front of the enemy, ambush their forces attacking the square from both sides, shoot them full of pieces, eat a donut, and save the day. All right, so dragging, let's see, I got the 2nd, 4th, and 5th. I want to tell everybody to shoot, and we want to get close here, right? Their archers are going to be shooting, immediately at our troops coming over the ridge. So we'll put a shield wall double thick of cavalry right in their face. Some guys might get killed. That's okay, right? It's just collateral damage. I hear the bolts hitting our shields. But guys in shield wall do a pretty good job. And I'm going to do a little menacing here of the enemy around the edges of the battlefield. In fact, I got a full health bar. I think I might even just go in there and poke some of those archers in the face. They're killing some guys. It's not very many, though, right? Our archers are almost in place, and death is about to commence, right? As soon as these guys are here, now we simply move the screen aside, and it's a magic trick. All of a sudden, the enemy is staring down the barrel of 100 sharpshooters, and they are gonna fucking flatten their archers and forces that are in there. Look at the death spam just fizzing. Their units are being flat out firing squatted. Now we're just dragging this cavalry left and right here. Again, the reason we're doing this is to distract the enemy, but also provide sort of a menacing element. Now they're already breaking, so immediately we're going to bail out of here. I would say we probably killed 80 to 100 guys there in 30 seconds. And we got to move quick here, right? Because the cavalry's coming as well. In fact, there go their horns. So let's get the shield and shock set up here in the fucking trees. Second and third, again, are married. The pike division is here beautifully. We're going to split our crossbow divisions. That's why we have 3. We're going to put the 4th on one side, the 5th on the other. That way, in case this battle goes badly, at least we could square one, attack with the other one, and then pound anything that's in the middle. Now, it's likely that they're going to attack that square. It's out in front. It's a big, tasty batch of troops. And, of course, the rest of the units, we're going to kite, right? These shock troops, or excuse me, these Pullmen are further back. Although, right here, we're being charged by cavalry. It's charge. There's Fulgiers in there. Give those boys hell. They'll kill some cavalrymen, right? Even though we'll suffer some losses. I'm going to pull those guys back soon. What I'm concerned about is their vanguard. They're going to have a huge amount of tough infantry coming down the hill, so this is temporary. Things are going pretty well here, though. The pikemen are killing guys. I hear horses neighing. Look at them all braced. Come get some, right? And you can hear the horses behind me neighing because they're getting stood up by those pikes. It's a massacre. All right, let's start spreading these divisions here. We're going to open our mouth, open our maw wide for their vanguard. It looks like it's coming over that ridge. 200 infantry. Let's move cav to both sides here. The 3rd division is pulled back. That's our shock troop division. I'm going to leave the 7th right where they are. This will be enough. This is like 150 cavalry. The shock troops, they're getting shot, and then they get sandwiched by all of this. And that Banner Knight saved somebody, but the rest of them are fucked. They're getting shot to pieces. Cav divisions charge on both sides. And the enemy is just being melted here. Now, there's a lot of infantry to kill there on the square. It's going to take a little while, but horses are dying everywhere. This infantry is getting pulverized. Both crossbow divisions at this stage also, they can essentially be told to charge. That way anybody's out of ammo. They can add to the fray. Where are their archers? They're starting to creep up, but they're not quite on us. Let's block them with the cav division. We'll handle them in a minute. The infantry's in here getting frizzed and battered. Let's start charging now. Let's get aggressive. Let's turn everything on its head here. Let's drag I got the 2nd and the 8th. We're going to move them forward aggressively. And yeah, they do have a lot of archers here, so we got to clean this up, but this battle's fucking over, right? We've got the 2nd and the 8th following me. We're going to suffer some losses here. They've got a lot of good archers, right? They have Fiend champs and shit, Sergeant Crossbow. Again, credit the StrengthenAI mod. Although they got some, Santa hat motherfuckers in here and Sturgeon archers. I guess that's a tier 4. But it's a foregone conclusion, right? This battle went from a difficult situation, being outnumbered against an entrenched opponent, and we're just eating them for breakfast. Crunch, crunch, num, num goes the fucking Western Empire here. What is that guy? They got like a forest bandit boss or some shit. And archers getting trampled, and that is all she wrote. So beautiful. That went off as hoped, as expected. And again, what I love about that is that's a highly unique tactic. We can add that to this playlist, so to speak, this highlight reel, ESPN highlight show of this Vlandian campaign. We are going to obviously get to the real campaign for the purists out there. You're like, what the fuck is this, man? You're starting the campaign in the middle. If you want the start of a campaign, go check out the Aserai campaign. Right? I will do other campaigns from the start, just not very often, right? You're just not learning a lot watching 15 recruits charge a bunch of looters. I assure you, not many players are pulling off this kind of tactic, and this should be of great benefit to you fellow tacticians out there. That is fucking fun stuff to pull off. And about a 4-to-1 kill ratio, yeah. And companions doing work, right? I've talked about it at range, right? So we're going to turn those guys loose here pretty soon as infantrymen, but now they're dual purpose, right? It's just a really good way to level those guys, get their endurance up, get them some good experience. Shit, they got a ton of troops here. We'll take these prisoners, but it's a great way to level those guys, and I'll talk more about that during the campaign. A lot of guys you can't get a companion to level 30. Well, I do it all the time, friends. So stay tuned for that, and of course, more episodes, more tactics, more F-bombs, probably a little bit of history and anecdotal shit mixed in, and hopefully you are either educated or entertained. I'm gonna head up north, get some food here, and we will continue this this campaign. I don't know, the next time you see me. All those prisoners, we don't need any troops. Give us your food. We're about to sit on our asses here for 15 minutes. I want to engage some of them, but of course not all of them. That's the whole point. He's fighting this caravan. I want to fight this larger force and see if this works. I think that's perfect. So, okay, the Aserai force is engaged. So again, we're experimenting with this. Let's see how this mod works. I guess I should put a little intro here depending on how I edit this. We're going to use the reinforcement mod here in an interesting battle. There's all these different forces on the outside of the battle. You see they're engaging Baron York and or chasing units around here. The reinforcement mod is one of the most interesting mods, I think, in Bannerlord, but I've had very uneven results with it. You can see we're fighting these 4 armies, but with the reinforcement mod, the idea is these forces nearby would essentially be able to run over and sort of join the battle mid-battle. So I'm doing this partly because I've had a bunch of requests for this in comments. I think it would be a really interesting mod to add to the game. Evidently now they will do reinforcements in Siege, which is also a brand new development. So this is, part testing for the campaign to see if this is gonna be a worthwhile addition. Of course, we'll do some tactics here. Unfortunately, it's kind of dark. We'll see what we can do. Maybe I can lighten it a little bit for you. I can see pretty well. Of course, I'm in a darker room here. And I'm going to start doing this too, this little just tactical change. I'm changing the 2nd and 8th. So Baron York is going to lead the 8th. I'm doing that because my mind has always had my best division, the 8th Division. In fact, I used to call it the Elite 8th Corps. I'm going to keep those guys there. We're going to marry the 2nd and 3rd Division. And again, that's the shock troops. I'm going to lighten this battle screen up here a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see better. It seems like there's enough light, but you can leave in the feedback if you can't see what's going on here. Once in a while, we're going to have nighttime battles, although, of course, especially when we're doing any kind of quasi-demonstration, we'll try to make sure there's light. Now, we are going to do some demonstrations in this campaign. It's something I like to do, right? I'm a teacher of military tactics, or at least a wannabe teacher of military tactics. Bannerlord especially lends itself to military tactics, so you can apply everything from hammer and anvil to envelopment processes like Hannibal at Cannae. We're going to go through some different tactics, and here's a good one, right? That ridge, we can't see over it with our crossbow. So important to get your archers down to the ground level. So the 2nd and 8th, or 2nd and 3rd, is going to hold this left flank. 2 archer crossbow divisions behind him. That's a very, very effective, simple, standalone strategy. Square in the middle. Over on this far side, we will again continue to use this 7th Division, full of pikes, right? You go down here to the ground level, and almost every guy there is a pikeman with the crossbow division behind him. Theoretically, there's not much protecting those guys, but a whole line of pikes does a pretty damn good job of at least slowing down the initial cavalry wave, right? Then we have this 8th Corps. Again, Baron York is going to lead it, and we'll probably use them dynamically. there's good light. Hopefully you guys can see. And again, if you can't see, I see really well, but of course, depending on the device you're using, maybe you can't see quite as well. If you're watching this on a subway on the way to work or something like that on a sunny morning, probably can't see shit. So hopefully we can at least narrate and make it worthwhile for you to listen to. Now, this is Aserai forces, but what I'm really watching is the lower left corner here. It says RTS mode, camera slow mode. What I'm looking to see is if these other armies, it's the Banner Battalion. Our enemies are bolstering. All right, so an Eleftheroi guy joined the enemy here. That is forces entering the battlefield, and we will keep track of this as this battle goes on. Of course, we might lose this battle. We may end up being significantly outnumbered here. We'll see if our allies join. There are various different factors and ways you can modify this mod so that the enemy and or allies are more likely to join. See, it says Lucans. It's hard to fight and look down. Lucan, I think it said didn't join. That is one of our Vlandian forces nearby. Evidently, he's a coward. And the AI does this based on essentially conditions, right? If you're getting your ass kicked or predicted to lose, a lot of times the allied forces or the enemy forces, if you're predicted to win, they won't join, right? They use a little bit of common sense. They're not eager to join the slaughter, essentially. But if they think they have a chance to win, the idea is they pig pile on and try to take you out. Now, it looks like only one has joined, unless I missed a message. But at least one army has joined this battle, right? So it's already working. This reinforcement mod is sort of working. We'll see if it works as intended. I've experienced strange anomalies in the past when I've tried to use it. Sometimes it works beautifully, and other times it works so irregularly that it essentially breaks the battle. Now our square is getting snarled here. So what we're going to do this time is a shield and shock swirl. Basically, all of the forces are moving clockwise if you were to look down on top of the battlefield, right? I know that's a little complicated to understand. We're basically going to pull this cavalry division in to act as a screen. Shock troops are going to be dragged in behind the enemy as they chase this square, and then we will drag this cavalry division through here. There's a fuck ton of enemy forces here. I wonder if this is partly because of the reinforcement mod. But they're charging our pikes, and I hear pikes skewering horses and them getting shot off by flaming crossbow bolts. So far so good, right? I see some death spam. We just lost a companion. The third corps should have arrived by now, so they should start butchering the enemy infantry. They're getting flanked. You gotta watch out for javelins here. These jav cav will fuck you up. I'm just gonna hold my fucking extra large pizza pan sized shield up a lot in this battle here, because the Aserai Ferris especially, their javelins are deadly. Having just played an Aserai campaign, and of course being a javelin thrower, they're already regrouping. We charge. Javelins are just, they're nasty if you know what you're doing with them. And of course, this character still has javelins. I'm doing that partly because I'm used to it, but also because early in a campaign like this, you cannot use a crossbow on horse. There's also a dilemma of equipment. I've just started to realize that this character has a shield, a sword, a spear, and then, you know, supposedly, hopefully a ranged weapon. Well, if you have a crossbow bolt in one of your item slots and then a crossbow, you can't have a sword, a shield, and a spear. So I'm kind of trying to figure out how I want to do that. If I was crafting, I would make Angry Goldfish savage fucking incredible lance. This is a lance that one of the long-term subscribers got a YouTube channel, makes really cool custom weapons. But it's not something I'm going to have access to because we're not going to smith in this campaign. Take out these Ferris here as we swirl our cavalry around, just trying to slow down this enemy press. One of the best things you can do when you're outnumbered is to just sort of swirl 30 or 40 cavalry behind you as the enemy's coming in. It breaks up their lines, it kills units, it knocks them around, archers will scatter sometimes, and it really helps you deal with a huge force coming in, because it sort of makes it in waves, manageable waves, right? It shatters their continuity. And we're starting to have to open up the center here because our units are low on ammo. We're going to have to collapse here with crossbow on some of these incoming units here. Now, this wave, it actually doesn't look too bad. There's some units coming in here, but it's very manageable. Now, like I said, I haven't been looking to see if more units are joining the battle. If they have, I've been distracted. This fucking guy is glued to me and shit. He's just non-stop trying to poke me. I was going to say, if you guys have seen any units join the battle, let me know. Well, it's not going to do me any good, 2 weeks after when I edit my lord, a group appeared on the horizon. I'm still able to spear you, sword sister. Eat shit. I think I didn't quite read that whole sentence. Fuck. I just got speared. But I think more enemy forces are coming in. And I like it. I like it. Even more Batanians are coming in. Let's see. It says, Ochivos of the Hand joined the party. So as far as I've seen, it's like 3 or 4 different armies of the enemy that are joining. And none of our forces. Which is not good, right? We were already outnumbered. The power bar is starting to look pretty pessimistic. The good thing is that it seems like the enemy keeps regrouping when they get reinforcements, and I see Batanian units in here now. There's Batanian infantry coming up. And the idea of this mod is great. Like, I'm thrilling at right now with the battle, right? This is awesome. We're basically, it feels like a zombie apocalypse with enemy troops, right? They're just pouring in at us in different armies, and there's a little bit of a nebulous factor. I'm not sure how many are going to join. I've heard it's a pretty large radius, like, it's hard to describe, but the distance between a city and a castle, maybe that's how far units will join a battle from with the reinforcement mod. Look at this shit. The banner of the Western Empire. Our enemies are bolstering their forces. This feels like a defeat. They're fucking pouring in here, and we're going to have to death charge here with the troops that we have. Here's one of the reasons I really want to use this mod. Difficulty is sometimes hard to find once you're an experienced Bannerlord player. So is spontaneity, right? A lot of battles you can gauge. If you're an experienced player, you can gauge from before they start whether or not you're going to have a good chance to win. If nobody else joined this battle, I was confident that we were going to be able to defeat this Aserai force. I have no idea now, right? In fact, I would, if I had to bet money, gun to my head, although you don't need to put a gun to my head to make a bet. I like to bet. I would say we're fucked. Look how many forces this is, right? I don't know how many joined, 3 or 4 different armies, but they have very many hundreds of troops. That's 250 archers alone. Now again, strange behavior. They're sort of regrouping on the other side of the map when they really should just be pedal to the metal, and we'd be in a lot more trouble. More enemies are approaching, it says. I mean, I love the messages, too. It almost sounds like a scout. There's horns blowing. The enemy's coming. It brings a really new, nice layer of freshness and challenge to the battles. I mean, I really do feel like we're fighting for our lives here. And this would make the campaign a lot more difficult. So this definitely looks like something we can add to the campaign. Now, I do a little bit more testing. I do understand that I'm testing this right in the middle of the campaign. The reason I decided to do this is that this part of the campaign, and I've mentioned it a few times, I'm not trying to kill your suspense, but it doesn't matter that much. And just a couple of examples. Say this guy gets killed in this battle. I'll reload this battle and you'll never know about it. Why? Because the campaign ends if you don't have anybody. Although I guess his wife would be left, right? We're not going to allow a death to interrupt this campaign right now. Eventually, yes, right? If Baron York gets killed in battle, I can't be sure exactly what the year, but after we do the time lapse, and I know I've talked about the time lapse a lot, we are going to get to the time lapse. I'm not in too big of a hurry. We've only had probably an hour and a half, 2 hours of content, right? Look at these guys bracing. We've got a defensive position on the bridge here, and this is fucking sweet. We're basically holding out against all of these forces pouring in here, and we have a heavily reduced injured force. I'm loving it. Except they're regrouping so far away, it's a little disconcerting. Anyways, to finish that point, after the time warp, it's sort of you can see this as these are a little bit like preseason games. These are scrimmages before the actual season. And come 11:07, give or take, 11:05, 11:00, somewhere in there, somebody didn't join the battle. Caravan. It said a caravan didn't join the battle. A caravan. They were thinking about riding in here with their camels and attacking us. What a very interesting development that is. I don't think I've ever seen that before with the reinforcement system. We're getting a little bit of stalls here. I think the AI is having a hard time figuring out what's going on. And for sure, there's a problem. There's Baron York over there. Go and capture. A bunch of peasants are trying to capture me, I guess. Villagers of something joined the battle. A caravan joined the battle. I think the system has gone a little haywire here. Caravans are joining. Peasant bands. Look at, there's like peasant bands pouring up trying to get Baron York. I mean, it fits the role playing. This would be amazing if they just regroup and charge. He'll be captured by a bunch of peasants. There's Baron York. That motherfucker cut down all my cousins. He sacked the village of Tor Inlag. The villagers are here to get revenge. Like, it would be an amazing element to add to the campaign. But alas, unless I'm wholly lost as to the direction of where we are, these troops are not approaching our units. We're to the south part of the map on this campaign map, and they are going the wrong way. It's planes, trains, and automobiles here, right? We could like quote it, "You're going the wrong way." They should be going up north, right, up the river, and instead they're like rallying hundreds and hundreds of yards away. So this is kind of what I meant. I think this mod has amazing potential. Oh shit! I just got like one shot, 112 damage. Let's see. Doesn't really matter. There's Baron Lord York over there. They're gonna go drag this guy's carcass off. But honestly, I think it's kind of bugged. Look what's going on here. So their units are, it says 500 units away, and they're not coming this way. The number's actually getting bigger. It's like they're routing. Even though they have, what is that, 500 troops there? 700 troops with all that cavalry. Now, some troops are fighting here, but it's not enough to threaten us. I don't know if it's this battlefield that has thrown this mod for a loop, but unfortunately, this is, I mentioned this at the beginning of this, and part of me hesitates to include this in the campaign. We're going to do so just because it's going to be relatively short. But they really do seem like they're confused. The AI got warped out here a little bit. Now, we're hugely outnumbered. This is a battle we would have lost if the mod worked as intended. However, they're having this giant reforming down here, outnumbering us 4 or 5 to 1. So, they might even rout. They really do look like they're routing. We're way upriver. They're running the complete opposite direction. They keep yelling, Baron York is over there. Go and capture him. The villagers of all sorts of villages are joining the battle. That's a really unique element to it, right? You got, and all of a sudden you got peasants coming in at the very end. And look at this shit. The enemy is fleeing, it says. So we get a whole bunch of prisoners or something. I don't understand what happened here. And if anybody that's watching this knows the mod well, maybe you could tell me what I did wrong, or if this was just a bug. Maybe it conflicts with the Battlesize mod. I would love to know, because this would be an amazing mod to use for the campaign. That said, I think we'll test it once or twice more. I may not show you that. And unfortunately, with that kind of inconsistency, right, an army that should have captured us, instead all the pieces of their army scatters here. I don't think we can use this mod. The entire campaign. I mean, every time I look, they have 2 or 3 armies summoned, but they need it, right? Going into this hibernation, we're being assaulted. The Aserai are boring into the south. We've been perpetually at war with the Western Empire for some reason. The Western Empire is all up in our grill here. And then, of course, Britannia is right on our borders. We've been kind of on and off at war with them. Well, so we've been gathering resources for a while. In fact, I'll show you our stockpile here. We've got quite the little, what do they call it? Preppers, those nutty guys. No offense if you're one of them. That puts a whole bunch of food in a bomb shelter for nuclear holocaust or something like that. We've been stacking up food here for this hibernation because we're going to do a time warp, right? The next time you see, in fact, this might be, I'm looking down, I'm probably going to stitch these episodes together, and it might be the next episode you see, we're going to be years into the future. Now, I've reserved the right to have events or news along the way. It may not just be 15 years. We're probably not going to do a full episode like we did in the Aserai campaign of the time warp. I actually showed significant events. Talked about various different things and just kind of let the clock spin. I don't want to do that so much here because we're trying to condense this campaign a little bit more, trying to make it more for the TLDR crowd than a traditional longer playthrough campaign. But we may have to pop our head out here. In fact, there's so much shit going on, so much shit that's under siege, and right on our borders here, it's very possible that we may need to sort of pop out of our hibernation here, right? It doesn't mean we're just going to sit in our castle and go away from the keyboard. Although we'll see, the Aserai are just non-stop sieging us, so we'll see how it goes. Now, look at our hibernation stock here. This is the stash we have at Roll Vault. Look at this shit, 18,000 grain, plus another 7,000 bags of grain that I've been dragging all over as we bring all this food back to our capital here. Now, of course, that's going to allow us to maintain a decent-sized garrison and army here while we fast forward probably about 12 to 15 years. Again, I will have some, discussion about that. I will show like if major leaders of kingdoms vanish and stuff like that. But the main purpose, the main reason I'm doing this, I've mentioned it before a few times. We want to have mature kingdoms that we're fighting against. We want to have mature lords whose sons have now risen to age and become a factor in the campaign, right? There's going to be storylines around some of that. Of course, Baron York's own children will elevate to the age of fighting here. But with all this shit going on, I think I'm going to try to clean things up here a little bit. There may be a little bit of footage from it, but we're going to try to clean up the realm here a little bit. I think we'll wrap this episode up though. So of course you want to subscribe if you want to see more, friends. I appreciate you, fellas. Please hit that like button on the way out. And with all that said, I will see you, friends, next time.